Hi, this is Anna Van Hoeft, and you're listening to MarkWHO42.
Hey everybody, and welcome to MarkWHO42's Universe, one of the coolest, geekiest shows on the internet. Before we start, I do want to give a message to listeners out there. Anyone who right now is looking at current events and wanting to speak their mind and, say something, I just got to say, keep doing it. I can speak for myself, not the rest of the podcast, but I do stand with you. Keep speaking your mind. Keep saying what you want to say. And on that note, I am joined today. Well, first of all, I'm always joined by my wonderful wife,
Trish Freyre.
Yep. And you know what? We do have two special guests today. We have the lovely ladies of Lovelies Cosplay. First, Joanna.
Hi there, I'm Joanna, Black Lives Matter.
And of course, her always enjoyable partner.
Hi, my name is Shauna. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, no, thank you. This is admittedly, we had them on at the very last minute. But hey, you know what? Thanks for stepping up, ladies. Thanks, and it's always great hanging out with you, even if it is electronically and not physically.
Yeah,
Hey.
I'm missing you guys in person, but this is great.
Yeah, but you know what? So yeah, for this episode, for all of you that did see when I went on Facebook Live and I was talking to the MCU, I did preview this episode, and I did say you're going to need a bowl of cereal to go with it. Now, why would I say that? Why did I give that cryptic remark? Trish, why did I say that? Why did I need a bowl of cereal today?
Because you were hungry? I don't know.
Okay, two reasons they would need the bowl of cereal. It was hunger, and what's the other one?
Saturday morning cartoons.
There we go. Yeah. You know what? We put our heads together and we said, what can we talk about? We need something fun to talk about. And yeah, Saturday morning cartoons came up. So yeah, that's going to be the topic for today.
Great.
I think yeah. Because come on, who wouldn't have a fun time talking Saturday morning cartoons?
Exactly, and I'm so glad that I'm still in my pajamas.
Oh well, there you go. Do you have the cereal?
Unfortunately, that has already been consumed.
Oh, darn
it doesn't stay in the bowl very long with me.
Darn it, yeah. Well, I have to remember.
What was your go-to cereal when you were a kid?
Oh my gosh. I was a big Kix fan. I was a big Cocoa Puffs fan.
Because you get to drink the chocolate milk afterwards, right?
Exactly. Yes. Totally.
That was the reason I had Cocoa Krispies as a kid.
Oh yeah. And
Was
I don't
never-
know. Anything for me.
I was never a kid cereal person. Even as a kid growing up, I liked grape nuts. I liked frosted mini wheats. I guess that the frosted kind of makes it a kid, but honey bunches of oats with almonds. I always liked like the crunchy granola things and nuts. I've never been one for flakes or puffed rice cereals. I like puffed rice with snacks, but not with cereals.
You know what? I think those still count. That all still counts. I do think Trish, help me out here, because I believe we're contemporaneous with our Saturday morning watchings. Didn't Frosted Mini Wheats have like a bunch of commercials that was like, the adult in me likes this, and the kid in me likes this?
Yeah, I remember.
Yes,
that.
I remember those.
There you go.
Kid side, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
The adult side likes this, and the kid side likes this. Yeah, I
So
remember
that is the quintessential cereal for me then. So I can still watch these Saturday morning cartoons and feel like a kid and enjoy the frosted side, and then the adult side in me that likes mature writing and healthy grains.
Sure. Joanna
Welcome
is
to
an
MarkWHO,
old
where we're
soul.
talking about cereal.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not even 5 minutes in, and it's totally off the
Yeah.
rails.
Yeah.
No, Joanna is an old soul, and it shows in her breakfast choices.
Well, no. Hey,
Well-
it's still cereal. It's still cereal. It's still good.
Well, I
It's
was
still good. I'm
the
not counting it.
typical kid. Like I wanted the Lucky Charms,
Mhm.
and do you remember like they would have specialty cereals that would come out? I think they even still sometimes make those. I'll see them in the store. It'll be like, unicorn puffs or something, and I remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cereal.
Oy.
Oh yeah.
And attached to the box under plastic was a little cereal bowl that looked like the turtle shell.
Oh,
And-
I don't remember that at all.
Big you
And those
remember
were our bowls for Saturday morning cartoons. We had to have the cereal
lucky.
in the Ninja Turtle bowl.
Yeah, one of my Saturday morning cereal memories is not actually eating the cereal, but the commercial. This was
Yeah.
I think it was fruity. I think the cereal was fruity marshmallow crispies or something like that. But they
Okay.
decided that the jingle would be sung by this guy trying to do like a Jamaican accent. And the thing is that one of the lines was fruity marshmallow shapes, but because of the accent that the singer put on, the word shapes sounded like something that we can't say on the radio. So of course, being the young kids that we are, we hear the commercial. It's like, did they do a swear? It sounds like a swear.
Of
So yeah,
course.
it wasn't that we wanted to eat the cereal. It's that we wanted to hear the mangled word shapes and imagine that he's saying something naughty.
Right.
Yeah, with the cereal, my mom actually started this really neat tradition. On Christmas morning, with our stocking, there would always be a box of cereal with it, so we could have
That's cool.
cereal on Christmas. And it was always something that we always really wanted, but she never would really buy, because sometimes she would buy us the stuff we wanted, but a lot of times she wouldn't, because you know how kids are. You buy them a box of sugar puffs or whatever, and they'll just go through the entire box, in almost one sitting.
Yeah.
And so we would get to walk down the cereal aisle like a little bit before Christmas, and we would tell her which one we wanted for Christmas morning.
That's cool.
Aw.
Now wait, was
I
this-
know
wait,
we're
were these like the
talking
big
about
boxes of cereal? Were these the big boxes of cereal or like
Yeah.
the little individual servings?
The big boxes. It'd
Whoa.
nice.
It'd be like on the floor, like under the stocking. Of course, it's not going to
Oh,
fit
okay.
in the stocking, but it was always a special little treat on Christmas morning to get your own box of cereal, and you didn't have to share it with your siblings.
Yeah.
It was yours.
That's all. And obviously you get the little toy and stuff that's inside too. I thought of another one though. I know we're talking a lot about cereal, which I don't mind because
that's
we're
part of
talking
Saturday,
about food.
That's part of Saturday morning. That's
Exactly.
Part of Saturday morning.
But Golden Smacks, I think was what they were called.
Yes.
Oh yeah, with the frog.
I
Oh.
loved those.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And then Captain Crunch, but just the berries.
I was at the
Peanut
store the
butter
other day.
Captain Crunch was awesome.
They still have the peanut butter crunch, and they still have just the berries.
Yeah. Oh, just the berries is great.
Those ones were less destructive to the roof of your mouth than the regular Captain Crunch.
Yes.
Regular Captain Crunch will tear the roof of your mouth up.
Well, thanks guys. Now I'm very hungry again.
Well, now you know what to put on the grocery list.
Perfect. It'll be ready for Saturday.
There you go. There you go. See? You're a couple of days out, you're already prepping. That's one of the things that's great about you, Shauna. You get set, you get ready.
Yeah.
You have it all planned out.
Yeah. Mastermind. Sure. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Nope. That never was a more appropriate word said than mastermind. Definitely.
Stop talking about yourself, Eddie.
If I was talking about myself, I'd be putting my evil voice, and I'd have Castle Thunder in the back, and I'd be going.
What a stereotypical Saturday morning cartoon villain.
Guilty.
You're welcome for the
Guilty.
segue.
Guilty. Thank you. See, well, awesome. See, Trish, you made a good decision saying let's reach out to Joe and Shauna,
Oh,
because then we get awesome stuff like this.
we are professionals.
Oh, professional what?
That is
Therein lies the question.
yeah, that remains to be figured out.
Yeah.
So.
I think actually that
It's
was
certainly not an adult, but or a responsible an adult. So
You know what? Nowadays it's like who wants to be a
That was a Doctor Who quote.
yeah, it was.
There you go. Exactly.
Bringing it back to Who. All right.
Who wants to be grown up? What's the point of being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes?
That was 4, right? That said that?
That was 4.
Shauna's quote, I believe, was the 11th Doctor in the first episode I ever watched, the Christmas Carol episode, where it was
Nice.
he shows the psychic paper, and it's the whole cleverly disguised responsible adult, and then it shorts out, and he's like, it's broken, finally a lie too big, or something like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love that moment.
Nice.
I definitely connected on a different level with the Doctor after that, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm just this is all a facade. The responsible adult is completely a facade.
I wonder what all the different Doctors' favorite Saturday morning cartoons would be.
Oh,
that would actually be an interesting question. Probably a lot of British only like programming.
Possibly, yeah.
True. I don't know enough of those to speak to that. Oh, that's such a shame.
I know that's like almost the makings of a really good episode.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that'll be your next one.
Talk about some of that on this one.
I smell sequel.
Yeah.
But
I think G.I. Joe would be the Briggs' favorite, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about American cartoons.
Yeah, honestly, actually, I think the Brig. I mean, as the resident Joe expert on this podcast and in our friends circle, I think the Brig probably like. He would probably be a fan, but at the same time, he'd watch this and just be like, "Well, if we were up against Cobra, the problem would have been solved by this. Like he would have probably figured out how to like solve the problem like a lot sooner."
Yeah.
It's like we wouldn't have been wringing our hands wondering how to stop the Weather Dominator. We'll simply do this, and this. In fact, Sergeant Benton, write that down. Write that down in case we need it in the future.
I don't know if it's Saturday morning. I can't remember if it was Saturday morning or if it was during the week.
Okay.
But I would like to think that Sarah Jane would watch She-Ra or X-Men.
Oh yeah, definitely. I could
see her enjoying that.
I could see her enjoying both. X-Men, yeah, she would just. I think she'd fall like, especially the 90s cartoon. Yeah, she would just be like, if the X-Men existed in real life and the professor wasn't able to get to Jubilee, Sarah Jane would probably get to her. She'd probably try to, she would just love the idea. Not to mention, I could definitely see Sarah Jane going face to face with Magneto, and just, and just telling him to cut it out, like he's not going to solve anything.
Yes, come on, crossover.
Oh, yeah.
I love
Dang.
it.
Wait. Okay, wait. IDW has the Doctor Who license. I'm now thinking of some people I may want to reach out to on Twitter and be like, guys, come on, come on, this writes itself.
Yeah. Make it happen.
Yep. One thing though, Saturday mornings. God, I'm an old fogey. I'm an old fogey. I remember my Saturday mornings were centered mainly 80s and a little bit of 90s. And one of the things I just remember is toggling back and forth between at first it was the big three, NBC, CBS, ABC, And then, then when Fox came in, it was like, okay, then we have to throw Fox in that, especially the 90s, because X-Men, Spider-Man.
Oh,
right.
man.
Oh, man, what else? God, what else did Fox have? Like, heck, even a couple of times that they did Power Rangers on Saturday mornings, it was like, hey, sure, why not? But yeah.
So what, I mean, I know G.I. Joe is up there for you, Eddie.
Yeah.
But what sort of like 80s cartoons were you like really big on that you like couldn't miss?
Wow. Well, let's see. Well, it's funny that we should bring up like X-Men and Spider-Man, because in the 80s I loved NBC. They had a TV show, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which was Spider-Man, Firestar, and Iceman. Kind of just, they all lived together and they all decided to fight crime together. That, and then there was also at one point they had an Incredible Hulk cartoon, and they kind of paired those two in like one big hour. So
That's cool.
so it's like you watch Spider-Man and then Incredible Hulk is next. And what's cool is also like there's a guy, Larry Houston, who worked on all those cartoons. He worked on the 90s X-Men and Spider-Man. He worked with Amazing Friends and things like that, and how he would just try to throw stuff in there, throw Easter eggs, throw these ideas that, yeah, this is Spider-Man's show, but there's a bigger universe out there. Like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, you had guest appearances by the X-Men. You had Tony Stark and Matt Murdock both showed up in their civilian identities. There was an episode which had Captain America, Namor the Submariner, Doctor Strange, and Shauna the She-Devil all as guest stars. So, that was kind of that's one of the things that made me the comic geek I am today. It's just those cartoons. Not to mention, I'm not ashamed to admit that the adventure shows always came on later on in the morning, and then of course you had to wake up earlier and watch Smurfs and things like that.
No, of course, yeah.
And plus the Gummy Bears, like the Gummy Bears was originally a Saturday morning cartoon. That was like part of NBC's things. It's like, hey, here's Smurfs and Gummy Bears.
Yeah,
man, y'all gonna have to hold me back from not singing every theme song.
I was just gonna say,
I was just
gonna say, can I just mention like the Gummy Bear theme song? Like, even though it's just a tiny like little show that we listened to growing up and stuff, that thing holds up. It is still so cool.
Oh heck yeah! All those
my favorite theme song by far is DuckTales. I mean, all of them. There are some really fantastic ones, but DuckTales, the new iteration and the elder iteration, in just their shows period, were incredible. And oh my gosh, the theme song is one of the most amazing things ever. I do have to tell you, songs from the 80s and 90s they were all over the place in pop music and in the end of Disney movies and things, but specifically in Saturday morning cartoons, you got that flat 6, flat 7, 1 chord progression. Sorry, I'm a music theory geek.
I was about to say we got Joe's talking about
the music. The music is out.
It's that chord progression. The every day they're out there making DuckTales. It's the bum bum ba da 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 chord progression, and that is everywhere in these late 80s, early 90s theme songs. And
Trish,
DuckTales is the best at it. Oh, I love it so much.
Trish, you are our resident Disney goddess. What about you? I mean, did you catch Gummy Bears when it did its Saturday morning run?
I don't remember, actually. I'm sorry. I remember them from Disney Afternoon, but I don't remember watching it on Saturday morning.
Huh.
Well.
Okay, so what was your big Saturday morning jam?
My main one was Muppet Babies.
Oh, yes!
Oh, yes.
Yes! That one was
classic.
So good.
It was so good, and it was good for kids and adults.
Oh yeah.
And it had so many references to movies and shows that were so important, like so many Star Wars references, and it was just so much fun to watch.
Hell, I remember they had an entire episode which was a parody of Star Wars.
Yes.
Like the first movie.
And because of that, all the references and everything, that's why they can't release them on digital or DVD or whatever, because all the copyright.
Oh God.
I am.
And I was frustrated. I was frustrated when that happened with KRP in Cincinnati, and like now with Muppet Babies, it's like
It's just too cool to be.
And my favorite moments in Muppet Babies are when they go live action for a second. They'd cut to like the live puppets, and then they go back to the cartoons. Ugh.
Yeah, or they'll have like the cartoons interacting with like one of the film segments that they have.
Yes.
Like you'll have like Godzilla attacking the city, and like Gonzo will look up and go, "Whoa, I'm out of here."
And I love that they carried on the Peanuts tradition of not seeing the adults. Like you'd see, I forget if she was a mom or an aunt or a babysitter or something.
Yeah, Nanny.
You'd see like her legs, but you'd never see her head, and you'd hear her voice. And the same happens in Toy Story now. You never see mom's face until much later on.
Yeah,
later on in the
and by
movies.
the way, can I make a confession? I gotta confess something. It was not until later in life that I figured out that the voice of Nanny from Muppet Babies is Barbara Billingsley.
Yes.
Oh.
I did not know that.
The mom from Leave It to Beaver, for those who don't know the name.
Yep.
That is amazing.
I was just like just the voices there in my head. Like I would see her and see her talking, and then hear Nanny, and like for some reason until later on in life, like when I got a chance to seriously look at like the cast list or something, I never knew it was Barbara Billingsley. And like now that I know, I'm like, that was just perfect. Like whoever had that idea to cast Barbara Billingsley, you are a genius. Like that was just spot on.
And they rebooted Muppet Babies a little while ago, and
Didn't they get rid of Skeeter?
that was my
mad.
problem. I'm like,
I'm mad.
Okay. What happened to Skeeter? But of course, what happened to Skeeter in the other Muppet movies too? I mean, there was never a Skeeter.
Well, I know that Adult Swim, the Adult Swim show Robot Chicken, actually did kind of a parody of that, saying that Skeeter got killed in an accident, and the other Muppets covered it up.
Wow.
That is very Robot Chicken to say that.
It is.
Shauna, what were some of your favorite Saturday morning cartoons?
Other than the ones that have already been said, I really enjoyed Inspector Gadget.
Nice.
That was my jam. I loved Inspector Gadget so much that I literally had stickers on the handlebars of my bike of Penny and Inspector Gadget and all of that.
Nice.
I still every time people are like the villain gets foiled again, I don't go the Scooby-Doo route most of the time. I go the Inspector Gadget route. I'll get you next time, Gadget. And yeah, it was too fun. I mean, there were gadgets involved. There was a mystery involved. The young girl is actually the brains of the operation. I was all about it. And the other one.
And by the way, that was Cree Summer.
Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
Adorable Cree Summer. Yeah.
And then the other one was Bobby's World.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Adorable, really funny. So yeah. I think those are my two that haven't been mentioned mostly.
Nice.
What about you, Joe?
Oh man, so many that you guys mentioned. I loved X-Men and Spider-Man growing up. I think that was more my teenage years, because I was a girl who grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I totally devoured everything the whole thing of this is the girls' cartoons and this is the boys' cartoons. So I watched the girls' cartoons growing up, which I'll mention in a second. And then as I got older, I realized that there's no such thing as a girls' cartoons and boys' cartoons. And I started to fall in love with X-Men and Spider-Man when they were on at like 5 a.m. every weekday.
Wow.
So I would wake up early to watch those as I got myself ready for school.
Wow.
And I watched the entire Dark Phoenix saga that way. I'm like, what is happening?
Nice one, Joe. Joe, I feel you on that one. I feel you on that one because
so good.
One of my favorite cartoons that just keeps flying under the radar is Exo Squad, and part of that is because it was the first time I discovered it was like at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings. And then for the second season, they gave it more episodes and they moved it, but it was like 6 a.m. on weekdays. So yeah, I would do the same thing. I'd watch that show while getting ready for school. Like I would wake up early just so I could catch it.
So let's see, growing up, a lot of these shows that are traditionally in the 80s and 90s geared toward more of a feminine audience. I did enjoy Strawberry Shortcake, and
me too.
Rainbow Bright was
was my girl.
Yeah. My Little Pony, and I've not really had a chance to get into the new iteration, the Friendship is Magic. Everything I've heard about it is fantastic and wonderful. But growing up, My Little Pony, I watched all of those three, the Strawberry Shortcake, Rainbow Bright, and My Little Pony. I watched the movies of those on repeat. And I don't know if they were just like 4 episodes in a row that became a whole arc, or if they were made to be an actual movie. But we recorded those on VHS from the TV, and I just watched those on repeat. Gosh, I remember like Orin, and there was the Ice World, and I think that was Rainbow Bright. And My Little Pony had like this black goop that was devouring everything.
The schmooze.
Yeah,
Sure,
man.
Yes.
And then they found the ponies that could fly, and that was such a big deal.
The flutter ponies.
The flutter ponies.
Yep,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yep.
And the Pound Puppies movie.
Yep.
I loved the Pound Puppies movie. Like they went into some alternative universe or something with these portals. Oh my gosh, Care Bears. So many.
There's so many, Joe.
So Joe.
So many, but really,
lot.
My ultimate favorites, I'll have to say, DuckTales and X-Men. DuckTales and X-Men, the best.
Yep. And you know what? So on that note, we do have to go to commercial, unfortunately. And but we will be back because wow, this, as we can see from what Joe was talking about, we have just gotten started. So yeah, we will be right back after these messages on Odyssey Radio. So go get
after these messages, we'll be right back.
Yes, thank you. I was hoping somebody would do that. Yes.
We'll be back with more of MarkWHO42's universe here on Odyssey Radio.
MarkWHO42's universe has a deal for you. We've teamed up with Audible Books to get you a free audiobook and 2 free Audible originals for the first month of membership with Audible from Amazon. After that, it's only $14.99 per month for 3 audiobooks. There is no contract, and you can cancel anytime you like. Just go to your web browser and type in www.audibletrial.com/MarkWHO42. Again, that's www.audibletrial.com/MarkWHO42. You'll have hours of listening pleasure, but listen to us first. MarkWHO42's universe is on Odyssey Radio. We cover Doctor Who and other sci-fi. You can listen to us on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and throughout the week. MarkWHO42's universe can be heard on iHeartRadio, Odyssey1.com, and the Odyssey Radio app. And on demand on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast platforms around the globe. MarkWHO42 from the universe and beyond.
You are listening to MarkWHO42's universe on Odyssey Radio.
Hey Hey everybody, welcome back to MarkWHO42's Universe here on Odyssey Radio. And no, your ears do not deceive you. We have been talking about Saturday morning cartoons, but you know, if you're listening to us on our usual time, that's okay. Because you know what? Because hey, Saturday morning cartoons, and in this day and age, we can watch them whenever we want. Yay, streaming! And hey, you can also have that awesome bowl of cereal whenever you want. Because you know what? We're adults! We're adults. We can do the adulting thing and go, I'm an adult. I just got back from the office. I'm tired. I'm having this bowl of cereal. I'm gonna have these Rice Krispies. There's not a thing you can do about it.
So it's just gonna become Tuesday evening cartoons.
You know what? You know what? Everything that's been going on, hell yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. It'll be cartoons whenever I want.
3 a.m. cartoons.
3
I
a.m.
started watching at 8 p.m. last night and I haven't stopped.
There you go. There you go. Binging. Yeah. Binging the cartoons. Woohoo. So yeah, oh man, if I recall correctly, because you know, just in case my brain fried out during the commercial break, you know, Joe, you just went off on all your favorites. Wow. I mean,
there were so many, and I
wowzers.
didn't even mention all of them.
Oh yeah. Well honestly,
to be honest, I only mentioned the 80s cartoons that I liked.
Yep.
I only mentioned one.
You know what, but,
hitting
yeah.
into the 90s, it's gonna
Sorry.
buckle up, you know.
But you know what? Before you know what, Trish, you got to mention Muppet Babies, but what were some of the other ones?
My other one that I really enjoyed was Garfield and Friends.
Oh yeah.
And that was another one that was for the kids and for the adults, because my mom enjoyed watching it too.
Yeah.
And she would laugh at stuff that would go over my head. And so
Huh.
I think that's a good hallmark of a good show, is where it can entertain both the kids and the adults.
Oh yeah.
And then it's fun to go back and rewatch it and go, I never got that before now. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, it's kind of like that joke in Animaniacs. You know, get some fingerprints. It's like, I found prints. No, fingerprints.
Okay, I was going to wait, but when
Okay.
Trish mentioned that it's a show that is both good for kids and adults, I was going to say Animaniacs. And then you mentioned it. I found prints, no, fingerprints. Animaniacs was that Saturday morning cartoon for me. We had a tradition in my home that every Saturday morning when it came on, we would all pile into mom and dad's bed with the big TV in there, and we would turn on Animaniacs and watch it together as a family.
Oh,
and
wow.
we would all laugh, and the kids would be laughing at one thing and the parents would be laughing at some obscure reference that was not at all obscure for them, but it was obscure for us. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they were laughing and they tried to explain it and maybe we didn't get it. And now we go back and watch it and you're like, holy cow, this makes so much more sense.
Now, okay, wait.
It really was an incredible cartoon.
But, you know, while we're on the subject of like the Warner Brothers cartoon staple in the 90s, does anybody else remember a show called Hysteria?
No.
I don't think so.
Oh, it was.
Sorry, friend.
This was in the 90s. This was like more mid 90s. This was WB, now the CW. And this was like, you know, in the same style as Animaniacs, but bent more towards like history, you know, trying to teach the kids history with a little bit of like a wacky edge. The one that sticks out to me is they did an episode about World War II, and they talked about, you know, the Freedom League, you know, the alliance between Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin. And they did it sticks out to me because they did it like as an Avengers-style group. And you had Stalin as like this Incredible Hulk type, you know, this like mix of Incredible Hulk with Wolverine. And I just remember they did like a running joke because like Roosevelt, you know, as the leader of the group would be like, we need a plan. What should we do? And Stalin interjects and he goes, intimidation and torture. And they were just like, no. They would like shoot the idea down immediately.
Wow.
That's
great.
It sounds like that cartoon did not age well.
Some don't.
I don't know.
Most of these don't. You go back and look at it, and a lot of them are not gonna age well.
There was. I remember it was Trish. It was ABC that did Looney Tunes.
Yes.
It was I remember ABC had like the Looney Tunes cartoons. They just had a block of Looney Tunes cartoons.
Unedited at that point. That was another thing we would watch after. Mainly came on after Pee-wee's Playhouse.
But I love that now you look at all of the Looney Tunes cartoons and they have a disclaimer before every single one of them saying it was made in a different time and it was wrong then and it's wrong now. And we are going to show it to you unedited, but please be aware, that not everything in here is good and right.
Speedy Gonzalez, that cat is loco en la cabeza.
Well, I know now, like whenever I watch a Pepe Le Pew cartoon, I'm going,
oof.
Hashtag me too. Like,
Wow.
And also what an awful stereotype for people of French descent, all of these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Even Disney had that problem, a lot too. A lot of their older cartoons that they have on Disney Plus all have that disclaimer as well. And
a lot of stuff,
especially the Donald Duck ones with him and his nephews. Boy,
Oy.
he's not like he is in the new DuckTales cartoon. That's for sure.
Yep.
Are we on to 90s cartoons now?
Sure. Oh no, yeah. Come on, take us into the 90s.
Okay.
How many of your choices? So now, gotta ask Shauna, how many of your choices are going to be extreme? Because that was the 90s. Extreme.
Yeah. Buckle up and grab your super soakers, folks, because this is where I actually get into like heavy duty cartoons.
But my favorite 90s cartoon didn't have seatbelts.
Sure they did. Sure.
I should have stayed home today.
Oh. My like way up there, still so good, love it to death cartoon is Doug.
Oh my gosh, Doug!
It's so good.
We're getting into them Nicktoons.
Yeah, but
I've never seen
Doug. I'm gonna show you some Doug because it is adorable. It's cute. There's I as a very nerdy person, I'm very extroverted. But I had a lot of introverted friends, and I could see so many of my friends as Doug.
Is that the cartoon that has a character named Patty Mayonnaise?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I had a friend in high school that because I went by the name Patty in high school, and that's what he used to call me.
Call you Patty Mayonnaise. It is the love interest of Doug. She's probably the sweetest girl. Could never do anything wrong in his eyes, and she kind of like. She doesn't give him a talking to, but he definitely learns some lessons from her. So take it as a compliment because Patty Mayonnaise is the bomb.
Well, I always thought he kind of had a crush on me, so that explains a lot. Because he always kind of saw himself as Doug.
Oh man, missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. If he's
over my head.
It's like if he's listening, sorry, man.
Yeah. He was cute too.
Yeah, so Doug's way up there. Hey Arnold is up there.
Oh. Did you hear somebody came up with like this twisted internet theory about the girl in Hey Arnold? What was her name? Helga. Yeah. They come up with some twisted internet theory of, that she's like, I don't know, secretly insane or something. I don't know. It was one of those times where the internet decides, let's do the dark theory. And it's like, wow, what are you trying to like ruin this experience for me?
Yeah, I am all about it. Clearly, I know that you had the cereal for it, Trish, but did you watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 90s
I
with your bowl?
did.
You
I
did?
did. Yes.
I
watched. Yeah.
Yeah. What
I
a
love Ninja Turtles, man. That was a great show.
That was one of those. It started late 80s and then did was syndicated, and then CBS scooped it up for Saturday mornings. And I just remember, I think it was about the time they hit CBS that it was like, okay, we can't do the nunchucks for Michelangelo, so it's like, so you're gonna fight crime with a yo-yo or some sort of grappling hook that looked like a yo-yo. And it's like, okay, because we don't want the kids playing with the nunchucks.
Lasai.
Yeah. And actually, and you know what? Actually, if we can do a little segue for a second, since they share, since the two shows share something, one of the voices associated with Ninja Turtles is Robbie Rist, cousin Oliver, and he actually was part of a cartoon in the 80s. There was a cartoon, and I feel like this might even be up your alley since you guys are about music. There was a cartoon in the 80s. This was NBC. It was called Kid Video. This was
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, this was kind of early to mid 80s. The whole plot was you had this group of teenagers, these 4 teenagers, that get sucked into a cartoon world that is all very music based. And they end up having to battle against this big villain that goes by the name Master Blaster. And I just, first of all, the theme, look up the theme song on YouTube. It is just pure 80s, pop, kind of, just very, very 80s pop. The cartoon itself, I know, would use, some contemporary music in pieces. This is probably one of the reasons why the cartoon has never resurfaced. But, yeah, I remember that. I remember that cartoon. And, just, yeah, I mean, you had the main characters, they just, it was just so 80s. It was just so 80s music loving that it's just, oh, wow. I don't even, if I can track it down somehow, in the deepest recesses of the internet, it's probably just going to look like so much 80s music cheese that...
It's probably right there on YouTube if you go look for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, at least the opening. At least the opening's probably on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys have to look it up. You two have to look it up, and find at least the theme song.
Trish.
Yes.
I know you're a big fan of Muppet Babies. How did you feel about Rugrats?
I'm glad Rugrats is mentioned.
Yeah.
I never watched Rugrats.
Oh.
Really?
It's very weird when we started talking about doing the show, and I started thinking about the cartoons I watched. I quickly realized I didn't watch very many cartoons. And then I thought back to my childhood, and my brothers would watch all of them. And I would wander in and out of the room doing other stuff. And so I would be there for Muppet Babies, and then I would leave. And then I'd come back for Garfield, and then I'd leave. And so, yeah, no. And then once I hit teenage years, I kind of stopped.
Yeah. I did the opposite. I kind of kept going for a little while.
Oh yeah,
But I figured you'd like Rugrats because a lot of the animators and writers were very very big Whovians.
Oh yeah, the Daleks were in there, weren't they?
Yeah, they had the Daleks, the Rugrats on the shelf. They had a TARDIS on the shelf and everything, and all of the references were super vague and whatnot. So if you didn't know the show, it wouldn't hinder your ability or your entertainment of watching it. But they were definitely Whovians, and they were not afraid to at least put it in a little bit.
By the way, that's another show. By the way, that's another show that later on the internet has these dark theories about it. That it's all the oh geez, like that. What was the little girl was what? And the blonde girl was Angela, right? Was that her name?
Angela Pickles.
Angela.
Angelica.
It was
Angelica.
Angelica. Close.
Pickles.
Yeah, Angelica. Like, did you ever read that theory that like Angelica basically that the whole show is in Angelica's imagination?
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's this whole thing where the show is in her
Eddie?
imagination. Yeah.
Eddie, we need to start like monitoring your conspiracy theory websites and what you're getting
You know what? This is
from
not
the
even-
internet.
Here's the thing. This is not even a conspiracy theory website. This is Facebook. This is people posting on Facebook. It's social media. Social media has like the ones that are like, we're gonna take your wonderful childhood cartoons and make them twisted. We're gonna twist this. We're gonna take your innocence and joy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not me. Believe me. I just remember.
Sure.
You know, I remember watching these. I would watch these with my little sister. We'd bond over these cartoons.
So I know that, like, I know Trish, you sort of stopped once you grew of a certain age. Did anybody else keep watching video
Oh yeah,
cartoons?
you know,
Or is it
Absolutely.
just me?
I'm probably
yeah,
the
no,
No, I
minority.
absolutely did.
yeah.
Because I watched like well into the 2000s.
Oh yeah, no, me too. I stopped watching only because the networks, like the big networks, really just kind of stopped doing Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like, I mean, you know, a lot. There were networks that by the late '90s basically stopped doing Saturday morning cartoons, and you know, just focused like they didn't have any cartoons, and they would have all these live action, you know, Saved by the Bell type shows.
Yeah.
Like, that's what-
California
yeah, I mean,
Dreams
yeah,
and all
yeah,
those,
there
which
you
I
go.
also loved.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's like they, like, you know, when the big three or the big four stopped, I went to CW, and then it turned into the W, you know, the, like, back when it was the WB, and I just kept going with that. And then
Right.
once that kind of faded out, it's like, oh, okay, you know, and then, you know, no more Saturday morning cartoons, or, you know,
And-
watch the cartoons that are on like the cable networks.
And that's about when my family stopped paying for cable. And so I just watched whatever was on the big three, and when they stopped doing it Saturday morning. So I kind of lost track of more of the kids geared cartoons, but that's when I really started getting into the X-Men and the Spider-Man and all those things in the morning, in the weekday mornings before school.
And by the way, do you two have Disney Plus?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, because the X-Men cartoon is on Disney Plus. Something I would recommend to you guys, by the way, if you can track it down, there's a book called Previously on X-Men,
Oh, cool.
which is written by the executive producer and his wife. And that book has like an episode guide, and it has the list of episodes is written like as they envisioned it. Because
Nice.
if you look on places like IMDb, on Disney Plus, on some sites, they may do it like in order of how it aired, or they may make up their own order. The thing is that when the cartoon came out, there were episodes that got delayed. So as far as the continuity is like a little snarled. But if you look at Previously on X-Men, or, you know, go on Facebook and track down the gentleman's name is Eric Lewald. You know, the last name is spelled Lewald. Eric Lewald. They know the order in which it was supposed to be.
That is really
So
cool
you
to
will
know.
have the order that you're supposed to watch these in, so you won't be like, wait, I'm confused because they're referencing this. They're referencing this with Dark Phoenix, but I haven't finished Dark Phoenix. What?
Yeah.
So, it will tell you this is how it was supposed to be presented.
That's cool.
That's something that I really love about modern cartoons, whether they're streaming or whatever media they're put across with, that they pay attention to an overarching storyline, and that's the the direction that a lot of television has gone in, a lot of streaming shows have gone in. And I really appreciate that. Even with some of the kids shows now, like Steven Universe and She-Ra and
DuckTales.
DuckTales, they're still episodic little things. Each episode can stand on its own as a fun little romp to here or there or whatever. But if you watch the entire season in order, you can see the big story and how important it is. And they're just absolutely wonderful, I think.
Oh yeah, no, and actually, it's funny you should mention that. A pair of cartoons that I would watch in the '90s that were kind of syndicated. There was like a cartoon of the Fantastic Four, and an Iron Man cartoon, and they were kind of packaged together in this hour-long block. One of the things about those cartoons, they weren't exactly the quality of X-Men or Spider-Man, but for example, one of the things that was cool was season 2 of Iron Man. Most of the episodes are kind of stand on their own, except there would be like a little tiny piece at the end that would connect to a season-long arc. So they kind of did that little thing. It's like you could enjoy the episode for the most part on its own, but then there'd be a little tiny piece that would be like, oh, this is what we're building up to at the end of the season. Also, by the way, Iron Man was voiced by Robert Hayes, the guy who played Ted Stryker in Airplane, and that actually became like the default Iron Man voice in my head for like the longest time.
Cool.
In some ways and actually to this day, I'll be reading like a Marvel comic, and depending on like the writer or how Iron Man's presented, I may hear Robert Hayes instead of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense to RDJ, because
Right.
it's iconic. Holy cow.
I was wondering if we could just take a moment to talk about the 90s educational tour de force that was Captain Planet and Magic School Bus.
Oh, Captain Planet! Captain Planet.
Captain Planet.
You know what? I didn't watch Captain Planet as much. Like, I caught maybe a few episodes here and there. But something that sticks out in my mind is Captain Planet, because 80s and 90s, every show had to do at least one of these. Captain Planet had a Just Say No to Drugs episode. But what sticks out in my mind...
Where they have the little confessional at the end where it's like, hey, kids, just so you know, the little after-school special at the tag at the very end. All of them had it.
My thing is they did do a Just Say No episode. The thing that sticks out in me is that they actually, like, the whole thing revolved around the blonde girl, Linka, that was her name, that she got addicted to the fictional drug that they had in the episode because she had a cousin who got...
She's so excited.
Yeah, they actually.
Sorry.
They got. She was the one who ended up having the addiction problem because her cousin hooked her on the fictional drug they created. But the thing is, by the end of the episode, spoiler alert, her cousin dies. Like, her cousin actually, he had done, like, the drug, had affected him so much that in the midst of, the whole, the Planeteers fighting the bad guy, he got, he overextended himself and he died. Like, he actually, the drugs that affected his body, that he had like a heart attack or something. So I just
going there with it.
Yeah, I just remember being like, whoa, holy cow, they went there. It wasn't just like, drug. It's like, drugs will mess you up. But I just remember the excuse that, like, the whole thing of like, why did Captain Planet get into it? Because you can't pollute the planet, and your bodies are also a planet. It's like, okay then, all right. Hey, you know what? Sure. But
have you guys seen the meme that suggests that the students of the Magic School Bus grew up to become the Captain Planet team?
Yes, and I accept this. I accept this, and it is now part of my headcanon. I will accept.
Which of the two do you prefer? If you had to choose between Captain Planet or Magic School Bus, what would be your favorite?
School Bus.
You know what? I would have to say School Bus because I don't want to make Lily Tomlin cry.
Oh.
It's like, it's Lily
Miss
Tomlin.
Frizzle is everything. She
And
is
she's
so
she's
great.
a time lady.
Miss
There's
Frizzle is
a-
gold.
There is a reason that I cosplay her from time to time, because I need to get back to this idea of being messy and making mistakes and having fun and being a little more quirky than I actually already am, or at least embracing that. And
Wait,
yeah,
what? You can get
she
more
is
quirky?
full on. Oh, just watch out. I'm coming for you,
backing up.
Eddie.
I'm backing up.
I'm listening to all you guys talk about these shows that I never watched, and I was thinking, like, why did I miss these? I mean, why did I stop watching it? And
Yeah.
then I realized that when I became a teenager, I cared more about sleep, and on Saturday
Yeah.
morning.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
I
that's
remember
yeah,
I remember
that's
sleeping in till, like, 10:30.
Valid.
And
Oh,
so by that
like
time,
I
all
am
the
now.
cartoons,
Yeah.
all the cartoons are gone. Were gone
Yeah.
by that time.
And
So
actually,
that's why I
Trish-
missed them, because I valued sleep over
Yeah.
cartoons.
So,
Yep.
so
So Trish,
question
actually,
then.
ooh, yeah, go,
Go
Shauna.
ahead, Eddie.
Okay, well, yeah, because I think this is a great segue, because here's the thing. Okay, so for everybody, growing up, what was that one thing that would come on TV that would let you know cartoons were done? Because see, for me, it was the dance shows. Whatever channel I'm watching, if Solid Gold or Soul Train came on, that was like, okay, that's it. The cartoons are done. Time to go play outside, or time to give the dog a bath, like I promised mom and dad. I mean, what was?
I don't know.
Shauna,
I
what
feel
was it for
like
you?
mine was just I was done eating cereal, you know? I was done eating cereal, and it was like, I'm done watching these cartoons. I don't feel like drawing these cartoons while watching anymore. And I kind of had a natural progression of like, and that's the day. That's the morning anyway. And
Oh,
I need
wow.
to get on with the rest of the day. Either that, or my mom was like, okay, enough TV, you know.
The mom came in.
It would
yeah.
be it would be sports, like some kind of sports would come on. It would be like golf or something, and like, okay, that's enough.
Mhm.
But then at one point we did discover that around 11, if you turned to Sci-Fi Channel, you could watch Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Of course, I also remember when Sci-Fi Channel used to do Saturday anime. Like that was more as I got to be an adult, and and yeah, they do Saturday anime, so it's like, hey, and it was perfect because it would be like at 10 or 11 in the morning. So yeah, you could be able to get the sleep and wake up, and it's like, oh wow. Of course they would show stuff like Vampire Hunter D and Akira, and it's like, watching them like on video and stuff, and you find out what they cut, and it's like, how did they even like approve this for air anyway? Like,
Yeah.
holy cow.
I was only ever exposed to anime through VHSs that my friends owned and let me borrow. Maybe they had recorded it or something. And because I didn't have cable at the time, there were a few times where I would go to babysit my cousins, and they had cable. And if they were taking a nap, then I would turn on Sailor Moon. And so I would catch an episode here or there, but I never really got to watch the entire show and get the feel for the story, which is such a shame, because it's so special to so many people my age, because they got to experience the whole thing and I never did. I just remember just little bits here and there, and I know I could go back and watch it now, but I just haven't gotten to it.
So that
man.
kind of
So,
brings me to the question I had. Which
okay, so
was,
last question.
Okay, so what is a Saturday morning cartoon that you didn't watch growing up, that you heard everybody talk about, that you wish you had watched? I mean,
Okay,
I can go first. I can
okay.
totally go first.
You know what? You go first, because to be honest, this is going to sound bad. I can't think of a single one.
You watched him?
Actually, I think the only one that would go is that I had heard that there was supposed to be a Garbage Pail Kids cartoon but I
Okay,
never saw
yeah.
it. I never saw it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know when it came on because I never
Yeah.
had a chance to see it. I've never seen one episode.
Mine was Thundercats. I've never seen Thundercats, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I mean, I have a few that people talk about that I was like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that. But I think Thundercats is one of the big ones. And the other one I would say is Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, I never saw
What?
the cartoon that was. I never. Saw
I've
the
never
cartoon
seen
that was-
Pinky and the Brain.
It
You know
was little clips from Animaniacs. If you watched Animaniacs and you watched Pinky and the Brain, of course, it was so popular that it got its own spin-off. But yeah, if
I
you've watched
only watched
Animaniacs, you've seen
I
Pinky and the
only
Brain.
watched Animaniacs once I was an adult.
You know what?
What? Oh, my heart hurts.
Shauna, no worries. Okay, no worries because I watched the Pinky and the Brain segments on Animaniacs, but I never saw when they had their own show.
Yeah.
I
Same.
What
never
about you,
saw that.
Trish?
The one I've always heard about, I'm not even sure if it was a Saturday morning cartoon, but it's just the one that was on Nickelodeon, Rocco's Modern Life.
Rocco's Modern Life,
Oh.
yeah.
I've never seen that, but everyone always says
Oh.
how great it is.
It you have to have a certain kind of humor for something like that. It's like Ren and Stimpy. I think those were actually more like Nick at Night kind of
Okay.
shows.
Yeah.
Well, then Doug would
Um,
be the other one that I never
Doug.
watched that I always heard.
Yeah.
They
about.
were Nicktoons, and the Nicktoons were like a little for slightly older kids, like preteens and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Joe?
You know, I can't really think of any cartoons from back in the day that I missed and wish I would have seen. Like I never saw Thundercats, but I don't really miss it.
What about Gargoyles? I've heard a lot of people
Ooh,
once
okay,
it was
yeah.
back on,
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
okay.
that's a
on
good
Okay,
point.
you know what?
Netflix.
Okay. Trish and I have been binge watching it. I saw it like during the time. What I can tell you is it's on Disney Plus.
Mhm.
Watch the first 2 seasons and the first episode of season 3. The rest you can skip.
Okay.
Okay.
But those first 2 seasons, it is glorious.
I'm gonna have to watch it then.
Yeah.
That
It's,
might
it is.
I know what it is. I know. Okay, so a couple of cartoons that I wish I would have watched and I've not yet watched, and they're not old favorites. Some of them are a little older. Clone Wars. I haven't watched that yet. I'd really like to. Clone Wars and
no, me
Rebels.
neither.
Let's see. Avatar and Korra. I haven't really watched those yet. I've caught bits and pieces when I'm over at a friend's house that has kids. It looks amazing. I'd love to watch the whole thing. And then the Batman animated series. That is a that was 90s, I believe.
You know what?
I
You
never
gotta-
90s, yeah.
watched that.
You
I
have
never
to-
watched that.
Okay.
And I hear that is Mark Hamill's best work ever, and that everyone
Yes,
was
yes.
incredible.
Mark
That
Hamill.
the writing,
Mark-
the animation, the voice acting was stellar, and I believe it. I just
what?
haven't witnessed it yet.
Joe, I'm a huge Batman the Animated Series, awesome. Mark Hamill is one of the most iconic Jokers of all time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Totally.
Mark
and-
Hamill's
and-
already my Joker, and I haven't even watched him.
Oh yeah. And you know what? And if you like that, then you got to do the Superman animated series, and you got to do the 2 Justice League cartoons, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, because
See, and
that was
now
just-
we have
oh.
now we have our list for Saturday, so that we're set and we can make our own Saturday morning cartoons. I'm
Oh, yeah, I
down.
like that.
It's
I
gonna
like
be
that.
Look at that, wrapping it
Batman
all up
animated
in a little
series,
bow.
I like that idea. That is awesome. And you know what?
Gargoyles. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And you know,
I've
on
made
that-
my list.
Yep. And you know what? On that note, actually, unfortunately, we do have to go. We are out of
Aw.
time. But you know what? This was awesome. And man, we gotta have you two back. We gotta have you two back. We gotta do another show with you
Thank
two.
you.
We gotta do multiple
It's
shows
totally
you.
fun.
because this was this was awesome. This was totally awesome.
I love talking about everything geek. And
Oh,
if I
yeah.
have at least a little bit of knowledge in it, I'm there. Even if I don't, I learn so much from the rest of you guys. So thank you.
It was
Good.
absolutely my pleasure and my privilege. Thank you. And I do want to say that as a person born with white skin, I do have the privilege to be able to have this platform to speak and have people listen to me when there are Black voices that don't have a platform as broad as mine is. And I want to do my part to extend that platform and say that Black lives matter and Black voices do matter. And this is my personal opinion, and I want to use the platform that I do have as a guest of this show to speak those words, and they do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the entire podcast or the where it is put on to the radio.
Okay, well, thank you, Joe. That was well said. And well, from all of us here at Mark Who and our wonderful guests, thank you for listening to us on Odyssey Radio. As always, you can listen to us on Odyssey Radio, listen to us on the internet, visit our Facebook page, track me down on Twitter, and yeah, just remember, keep eating that cereal, keep trying to make chocolate milk with the Cocoa Krispies, binge watch these cartoons on Disney Plus. And you know what? Keep your Saturday morning kid alive.
MarkWHO42's Universe is presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia Freyre, Eduardo M. Freyre, Iggy Matthews, and Zion Quiros. MarkWHO42's Universe is edited, directed, and produced by Mark Baumgarten. Theme music by Thursday 2000. MarkWHO42's Universe, copyright 2020. This is Odyssey Radio.